I'm loving it's a little bit like Just Do It. Very iconic, very, very cool. That said, it's not as iconic as Just Do It, where it like sort of permeated culture a little bit. Like, I'm loving it. Like, nobody's saying that outside of Right.
Welcome back, Modern Commerce subscribers. Coming at you again, Casey and John here. We're doing part 2 of our best ad slogan in history episodes. John, I'm excited for this one. I'll be honest. How do you feel?
I am too. Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. Like, we got like a day 1 winner. That's pretty good. So just to remind people of how we're going to format this, we went through, we found just an article, I'll link it in the description, of 40 best ad slogans in history. It went all the way back to like the late 1800s, right?
Yep.
So we went late 1800s all the way to 1975. That was the first 20 of them. So we went through 20 of them, and we decided on a like ultimate winner of that, like, part 1 episode. And remind us, Casey, what was it?
Ooh, the winner of part 1. Well, I should mention right now, no spoilers. If you haven't seen that episode, click wherever it is up here. Go watch that episode, because we are going to be finishing the whole thing today. But yeah, probably should have had this on cue. Here it is. Okay, so spoiler alert. Our winner from last week's episode was Carlsberg's 1973 slogan, probably the best lager in the world.
Yes. So that was the slogan, right? Probably the best lager in the world.
Probably the best lager in the world. Yep.
Yeah, good.
We're big fans of Carlsberg, what they were doing marketing in the early 70s. I should mention, we didn't even realize, go back, watch that episode for sure. We didn't even realize these were in chronological order when we started. So we stopped at the middle of the list after number 20 out of 40. It just happened to end right at 1975. So
yes.
We went up to 1975. Now everything we're doing today will be 1976 till modern day. I don't know exactly how modern the last one will be, but we'll end as close to today as possible. So
yep. So and then we'll get a winner of these 20 slogans that we're about to go through, and then it will go head to head. We'll decide which one's the better slogan between that one and probably the best lager in the world.
Probably. Yeah, Carlsberg. I called a shot.
Did you look it up? Do they still exist? Have you tried this lager?
Carlsberg? I did not look it up. I think it does exist though. I think I've seen it. I just didn't know I didn't know the slogan, and I don't know if the slogan's still the same. Maybe we'll check in on that and come back. I don't know.
Yeah, because last time you were saying like that slogan's good enough that I want to try that now.
Yeah, it's true. I do want to try it. I think I will try it at some point, but have not yet. So
okay, let's go. First one of the day. First one of part 2.
Back at the list. We're on number 21 of 40 now, starting in 1976. First one at you is Citibank. The city never sleeps.
Okay.
Citi, C-I-T-I.
Okay, and that's going against?
Well, I mean, we're starting new. That's right. I guess we're starting new. So the next one will be
the city that never sleeps. I get it. Okay, wordplay.
Yeah, and then the next one is a slogan of a city itself. This is a weird matchup right out of the gate. City of New York City, 1977, I love New York. So strange, and those are both slogans for the city of New York. This is a weird matchup here. First thoughts, John.
I mean, I don't think either of these ones are good.
No, I mean, I think these are going to be out of the mix.
Yeah, it's tough to go through the whole progression and have only good ones at the end and then restart at these like not so good ones, but let's do this. So the city that never sleeps versus I love New York. I love New York kind of got culturized a little bit. Like we see it on hats, we see it on shirts. It's pretty easy though. Like that could have got culturized even if that wasn't a slogan. So snap judgment, I'm going with the city that never sleeps.
Oh, really? I thought you were leaning the same way as me. I was leaning I love New York. I thought you would hate the wordplay of the city that never sleeps. John is not a wordplay proponent. He hates it.
I don't hate it. You just love it so much. Like I have to rein you in.
It's kind of fair. It's weird that we're going opposite ways on this one. I love the simplicity of I love New York. I can see the heart sign and everything. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty iconic. City that never sleeps for Citibank. I don't care. Let's toss up.
Nah, I'm not that passionate. I love New York is good.
All right, I love New York. It's strong, you know.
It's clear. I'm clear.
Very clear. That's what I like.
Yeah, the city that never sleeps. I don't know what that is. What does that mean? What does that have to do with my bank?
Yeah, and if you didn't know it was about a bank, you'd just be like, well, they just misspelled city. So
yeah, what a bunch of idiots.
Yeah. Anyway, like we said, this isn't going to last long. Moving on now, I Love New York goes up against the next one on the list from Federal Express in 1982. Welcome to the 80s. This slogan is when if, it's written weird, it's strange wording. When if absolutely positively has to be there overnight. This must be a typo. When it absolutely positively has to be there overnight. Typo in the list, cleverism, you got to get your game together. But when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight versus I Love New York. John, go.
I do. Okay, so I actually like the FedEx one. It's clear. It's like, here, let me hit on a pain point of yours. Like it sells a little bit better than I Love New York. I would like it just a little bit more if it didn't have to be attached to FedEx, right? Like if you just went up to someone and said like, when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight, they'd be like, what are you talking about? You know, but then if you're like FedEx, that was a FedEx slogan, they'd be like, okay, I get it. I would like it more if it was like, you know, the M&M's one from last time, the milk chocolate that melts in your mouth, not in your hand. Like, I don't even have to know that's M&M's. It's good in and of itself. I would like it better for that, but I'm tilting here. I don't love either of these ones, but I'll go with FedEx, I think.
You know, you brought up an interesting example too, because that M&M's one, we talked about it on the last episode too, that they kind of revised it and took out the milk chocolate part, because we just remember from our childhood as melts in your mouth, not in your hand. And I think we might be entering an era where they kind of do go a little less on the nose with these things.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of a little more nebulous. But you said FedEx is where you're leaning?
Yeah.
That's where I was leaning to. It's actually a selling point of the brand, at least. It's something that we're doing different than other courier services. So I'm with you. Moving on, we got FedEx from 1982, when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight. Going up against another opponent now from British Airways, 1983, the world's favorite airline.
It's very clear.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, it's from Britain, so favorite has a U in it. I don't know if that's cool.
I mean, I dig that. Favorite.
I mean, it would be weird if it didn't.
Yeah.
Airways, wouldn't they be
right? Because it's British Airways.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's again very clear. It does tell you what it is. I do like that it has the U because it's a defining thing. You would know about it even if you were in the U.S. You'd be like, oh, that's probably like somewhere else.
Here's. I actually think that maybe the FedEx one is more powerful because it hits on like a pain point, but it like you kind of stumble over it. You know what I mean? Like a 10-year-old couldn't read that and get it. So there's like a clarity problem there. Whereas maybe the other one doesn't hit on a pain point, but it's very clear. So I'm going to go with British Airways here.
Interesting. I'm either way on this one. I'll default to your answer here because I didn't feel a strong one way or the other between these two.
I'm not strong on it, but you know, slight nod to British Airways.
Yeah. So I think we got some strong candidates coming up here too. So we're trying to run through these a little quicker. Remind me of the context, how we were grading these. Are we taking into account how well the fact that we know some of these took off and became bigger than what they are?
I think we did. You know, I think I was trying to think of the one last time that I think dethroned the M&M's one. And it was like became like iconic, and I can't remember what it was.
I think it might even be the M&M's one. Either way,
it was something else that we're like that was a ad slogan, So I think we are a little bit, but like to me that's not like a heavyweight in the grade.
Right, I think that's where we were, but you can't deny the fact that it did like organically grow. You're like, well, clearly it was popular.
Yeah, and I'm trying to maybe apply them to like what could you apply to like, you know, your business now and like as a headline test, a subject line test, something like that. So that weight's a little heavier for me than if it took off from a cultural standpoint. But yeah, there's some weighting there for it for sure.
So I brought that up in particular here because this is the first example. I didn't even know this came from this one. So just a reminder, we got world's favorite airline from British Airways right now, sitting in the hot seat, going up against the fifth one of the day. Yeah, Wendy's 1984, Where's the Beef? I didn't know that was a Wendy's thing, but I mean, who hasn't heard of Where's the Beef?
Yeah, I think I did know that. Or I knew it was an ad slogan.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know it was Wendy's though. It's a little before our time, 84.
Yeah.
But my first impression is I like it. I mean, it's hard, again, that's why I asked. I was like, it's hard not to just weigh the factor that it's huge. Like that became bigger than Wendy's itself, kind of. Well, maybe not bigger than Wendy's itself, but I've heard it and I didn't even know it came from Wendy's. So there is a little bit of a branding issue in it, right? Yeah. Favorite airline, it's an airline, at least Where's the Beef? I honestly probably thought it was like a beef advertisement. I don't know.
Yeah, and so here's what I do. It hits on a pain point. I'm a big fan of anything that like hits on the pain point and presents itself as the solution. Where I don't love this one is that like you kind of have to make the jump. You know what I mean? Like
I think one of the things is the context of it. I know it's supposed to be how does it hold up today, but I think the conditions of it is that there was like not enough beef in fast food. Like there wasn't real beef. So,
I know. I get it, but I had to make the jump, right? Like you felt like you needed to explain that just now, you know?
Right. Well, not just for you. There are other people watching. You know, we might have people.
But you didn't have to explain the world's favorite airline, like for anybody, not even the people watching.
Good point. But that would still mean the same thing today.
Yeah.
I mean, by today's standards, there's plenty of beef in fast food.
Yeah, I get you. So I lean toward British Airways on this, but I have a feeling you're leaning the other way.
It's another one of those where I am probably leaning the other way, but I don't feel super strongly about it. You know, I'd give like a couple of degrees towards Wendy.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you feel strongly enough about it to use the possession arrow?
Yeah, either, but I'll let you determine who gets the first possession arrow.
I think I already took one.
Oh, that's right. I guess we can carry it over from last time. So I'll take the possession this time. We'll go with Wendy's. Where's the beef? Possession arrow is now pointing back to John if we ever don't agree strongly enough to use it again. So John, you got that hammer. I'm not using that strategically. I was just honest that
that's how I'm doing it too. Like I don't feel strongly enough.
I'm not saving it up. Hopefully we use it a little more. It's kind of fun. We can't always agree. All right, moving on now. Wendy's Where's the Beef going up against Levi's 1985 slogan of quality never goes out of style.
I like that. I lean toward Levi's here.
Yeah, I'm pretty cool with it. Also, I'm a big 49ers fan. They play in Levi's Stadium, so I'm gonna go ahead and roll with you there. Levi's.
It hits on a pain point of clothes going out of style. It does it all, right? Like, and it like kind of speaks to that Levi's wearer. Like, look, you don't have to worry about style. Like, you just get good stuff.
And I think another just like understood thing about it, especially back in like the 80s, is Levi's has always been known as like the jeans that last super long time. So I think part of it is kind of playing on like how fashion is cyclical. Is like, hey, you know, these will be in style for 30 years or be back in style, even the biggest thing again in 30 years, and they'll look just how they did today.
Yeah, exactly.
Or even better after they've been worn a little. So
yeah.
Well done, Levi Strauss. Moving on now. Quality never goes out of style from Levi's versus the next contender here. Visa's 1985 slogan, "It's everywhere you want to be."
Yeah, they rode that for a long time.
I like it. It doesn't tell you what it is, but some of these things, you know, when you do know what product it's speaking of, you have more of an appreciation for it. That said,
Again, let's give some time context here. We live in a time where pretty much every kind of card is taken everywhere.
Yeah, this was a big point in 85.
Yeah, so they are hitting on a pain point with this. I think the fact that they wrote it to like 2005 probably diminishes that a little bit. Like, but actually, you know, so I was gonna say like I don't think that one's strong, but given the time period, I will give it a little bit more of a nod, but I'm still stronger on Levi's. I like Levi's better.
Agreed. Yeah, I do think Visa, I think it's strong, and in the context of the time, it meant something pretty big. I mean, Marty McFly hadn't even gone back in time yet, I don't think.
Right.
And it was 1985 when that happened. So anyway, that was me trying to shoehorn in a lame joke. Didn't work. We'll just keep moving on right through it. Okay. Quality never goes out of style from Levi's is our hot seat placeholder right now. Going up against one I know we both love. We've referenced it many times throughout our childhood and adult life together too. Nike's 1987 slogan, "Just do it."
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing about "Just do it." Like, they wrote it. Are they still writing "Just do it"?
I don't know. I think goes back to like the intro of our first episode, where it's like, I think situationally in some ads maybe they use it, but it's far from their only slogan.
Right. So here's the thing about "Just do it." Like, it kind of simmers over time. We're both athletes, right? So it kind of simmers over time and like takes on some meaning to you. Like, if you go through certain situations in your life and then you're like, oh yeah, like I get what they mean by that now, which is it's so weird. Like, it's not like in that moment you're thinking of the slogan, but it's like next time you see the slogan, you're like, or whatever, just do it. You're like, oh yeah, this guy got a different meaning to me now. Right. And so I actually don't think just do it is very strong as like an original slogan, original headline, but it does have like some, yeah, it sticks with you a little more. I'm going to go because of how I'm waiting. I think you're going to go opposite of me on this, but because of how I'm waiting for like something that somebody could practically use as a principle in their business. I'm giving that a heavier weight. I'm actually going to go with Levi's here because I think that's like a more usable like direction. But yeah, I mean, look, I like just do it as a slogan. Like there have been times in my life where I've seen it and it's been more meaningful to me than it was in a different time.
I get where you're coming from, and I know you have a position arrow, so I would have to convince you actually outright to switch your answer, which I'm not necessarily trying to do here, but I do want to explain why.
Yeah, make your case.
Yeah, I want to explain why I think it's strong, because I mean, if you said like, what's your favorite slogan of all, I would probably go with this. And I think what's actually strong about it from like a psychological standpoint, what they did here is they're not even calling to action, go buy our shoes. They're literally calling to action the thing you want to go do that. Oh, and by the way, you're going to need some shoes along the way. Nike has already kind of risen to that point where it's like, you know what you want. You know, we're one of the big contenders in the shoe game. If you're going to go out, play your baseball game, you're going to run on a track, you're going to do any of that, those activities you love to do, you know, go get you some Nikes. But we're not even selling. It's like a throwaway, you know. Sometimes the best jokes from a comedic set isn't the big punchline. It's just some throwaway joke that doesn't even always get a laugh. But the time they recorded it for a special, it got the biggest laugh of the whole special. That's what I feel like here with Just Do It. It's kind of a throwaway. They're like, yeah, we know we're Nike. We know we don't need to be like, Nike shoes, go buy them, we're the best. Even though that would be kind of, by our judging criteria, that would be a super high ranking slogan. I like what they're doing here. I'm not going to try to convince you. You made your ruling. I will officially say that I do like the Nike one. I will force you to use your possession arrow.
Yeah. So here's actually, this is interesting because when we set out to do this, we were like, we even talked about like, hey, maybe we should do like ad headlines or something like that. That's like a little more practical. And we specifically chose to go with slogans. I think the Nike one is a better slogan. It's a branding play for sure, right? Because Just Do It opens you up to all kinds of different like creative angles, right? You know, because the thing that you really want to do could be anything for anyone. Whereas, yeah, the Levi's one would be a better headline. It's a better direct response, like copy play.
It's a good idea to bring back that criteria we're looking at, really.
Right. So here's, it's because this is what you convinced me through that. Like, it is a better slogan. Okay. Because we're doing the best ad slogans, this is big time branding though. So I'm like going to put a big asterisk here and say like, this show, Modern Commerce, is about like e-commerce marketing, e-commerce sales. And yeah, what Levi did here is going to be better for all of you, really. Anyone watching the show, unless you're as big as Nike, in which case click the link below and to go to explosivegrowthmarketing.com and book an appointment with us so that you can be a client of ours. Because if you're as big as Nike, then I want to work with you. Or if you're not, we'll grow you as big as Nike. I thought. Yeah, not that big. Let's be real. But yeah, we'll help you. We'll help you grow. But yeah, the Levi's one is a better headline. It's a better direct response play. It's more usable for anyone here if you're watching like this whole episode. But yeah, I mean, just do it. It's a better slogan, and the episode is called Best Ad Slogans of All Time. So, I agree with you big time on everything you just said. There was no way I was going like with a recorded video like this. I'm not going on record against Nike. Just do it. So, but it sounds like I won you over there. I even like the just do it kind of implies like oh, you thinking about your purchase? Just do it. Just buy the shoes, man. Yeah.
How we're judging this right now, you know, is like, just do it. Just give it to Nike. So your official ruling, where are you going on this? Yeah, I'll go Nike on this. All right. You retained the possession arrow. I talked you into that one a little bit, made my case. Yes. All right. But that said, there are so many good ones coming up. I did peek ahead this time. There's some tough competition coming up for Nike here. All right. Moving on now. All of these we're going to know, I think, from this point on, John, because this is getting really? Like, they're all pretty famous. Yeah, and we're coming up on time that we were actually alive. So gotcha. That's helpful. You know, I didn't realize that slogan was that old from Nike. But now we got Just Do It, Nike's 1987 slogan going up against Gillette's 1989 slogan. The best a man can get. You already knew it. That's what I was saying.
I like the. Go ahead.
I'll jump in a little first here. Just Do It. I love it. I just kind of explained all that. I don't need to do that again. The best a man can get. Not very precise on what it is, but I like that they're carving out their market in it. You know, it's not for women, it's for men. So it's powerful to mention that in the slogan itself. And best, like we already touched on this in the last episode a ton. We really favored the ones that just kind of self-declare themselves the best out of their market. So I actually think
we're probably the best. It would be better if it was probably the best a man can get.
Probably the best a man can get. That would be super hard competition if it came down to it at the end, if that was the final matchup. But formulaically, I'm gonna say I'm stuck here. This is two strong ones. What do you think, man?
Okay, this is where now I'm a little lost because these are both so brandy and non-practical.
Yeah,
you know what
I mean, well, we did say you can't ignore how things have grown organic, like how, you know, people.
So because of that, I'm giving the nod to Nike. It's like kind of like infused into culture a little bit more. It has a little bit more meaning or whatever. But yeah, like we're in weird ground because like now I'm making judgments like based on very brandy and impractical things when typically I make judgments on like how strong would this be as a headline? How strong is this in terms of selling the product? And I don't think either of these are really that strong in terms of selling the product. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to give the nod to Nike. It's like bigger, but now I kind of feel like I'm making every decision on like, oh, what is the bigger, more popular slogan? Yeah. So hopefully we get like a more direct responsive slogan that knocks Nike off the throne soon.
I like what you're saying. I like you're trying to kind of keep us hedged in the right kind of mindset. And I wonder if we're actually seeing a little bit of a shift as we're going chronologically. Maybe we're seeing more of like big brandy slogans because I mean, businesses get bigger and bigger over time, and the biggest ones are going to have more of those brands.
They wanted to do different things, you know what I mean? Like direct response copywriting in your slogans is maybe more popular. And like, I think in this time, we're in a time of like not a lot of direct response channels, you know, newspaper, magazine ads weren't working as well. Long form sales letters, mailers maybe weren't working as well as they once did. And so these big brand campaigns were like what won awards, you know what I mean? So that's why everybody knew.
Right. And I mean, even though the purpose of this is to say like what would hold up best in e-commerce today, and most of the people who are watching, if they have a brand, is probably not nearly as big as most of these that we're hitting. But I wonder if, yeah, like who didn't know what Nike is? Is it as essential that you explain what Nike is and its slogan? I'm trying to at least incorporate.
Just Do It could be an angle, right? Like you could have a Just Do It subject line and then tie it to Nike in the email, right?
Right. Like I do think, to reference our winner from last week, I do think it's more important that Carlsberg tells you what it is.
Yeah.
And tells you what it is, because you didn't know what Carlsberg is. I don't think I would have like remembered, but as I say, I'm like, oh yeah, I do know that. I've seen that before. So anyway, we'll just move on. Great, bringing up that keep that in the back of our heads. Let's not get too just big brandy. What's the thing we remember the most, like the zeitgeist?
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, a lot of these are very zeitgeisty, if that's a word.
Yeah.
All right. So
now.
We've got Nike. Hey, I think we're born all of a sudden here, John. We've been born.
Hey, we're alive. Casey and John are alive.
Yeah. Nike's 1987 Just Do It slogan in the hot seat now, going up against our 10th of the day. Maybelline's 1991 slogan, maybe she's worth it. Oh, nope, sorry. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah, I get it. It's like, I remember as a kid having a hard time making the connection of this. And to me, that's actually a pretty good measure of something. If a 10-year-old can't make the connection, then maybe you're being a little too cryptic. Does that make sense?
Sure. I wonder how much of it is like, these were never targeted at us anyway, so maybe there's a little power, but I get what you're saying too.
Yeah, I mean, and we were 10-year-old boys, right? Well, we were 0-year-old boys, but they were riding this from until we were old enough to remember it.
I mean, I think it's still their thing. I even like misspoke, had a little like brain slip there. I thought it was maybe she's worth it. Maybe. So yeah, not as much sticking power, but again, I'm not in the market. That's a little, you know, I don't know if that is anything.
Yeah, and then they made it into a jingle too, right? Like I've got that in my head right now.
Yeah.
But I think it's too cryptic. It doesn't really like, a 10-year-old girl probably also wouldn't make the connection. Like, what do you mean? Right. And in a sense, like maybe it like like if we're going to get real modern, maybe it perpetuates kind of like not the best thing for a 10-year-old girl to be making the connection on.
Sure. I agree with you. I want to shoot myself some bail here. Reading in the little like blurb below this, it does say the parent company is L'Oreal, which their slogan is, because you're worth it. So I think that's the worth it thing got stuck in my head. But yeah, because of that, it
is more direct responsive though.
Yeah, I like what it's doing. I think we're in a different category here. I mean, Carlsberg was a man amongst boys, let's say, and there's a whole lot of big, strong, burly dudes here duking it out in this one. That analogy is a little weird, but
you're going weird with your analogies and your jokes today, man.
Dude, Maybelline,
you'll bring it back. I have faith.
No, I'm just saying, Maybelline's like, it's in the mix, it's in the ranks, it's a good slogan. It's good work as a direct response somewhat. But yeah, I can't compete with Nike. But this next one, we're on the same page. It's Nike.
Yeah, it's Nike. But what I do like about this, like this is a more practical angle for you to use for your own products, right? Like pain point. Actually, it's probably this, like pain point solution.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's a pain point exactly.
It's like a thing that, like
like the opposite of a pain point. Maybe she's born with it. There's something good about her. It's not a pain.
No. Yeah. I mean, I think the whole connection is like, how does she look so good?
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
So the question that precedes this is like, man, how does that chick always look so good? Like, why don't I look that good? I don't know. I guess that's how I make the connection. But it's funny that we don't both make the connection. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. It's too cryptic.
That's funny. You naturally see it as, I see it as like somebody saying it about themselves, even though it says she. I think of somebody running through it with their own head, like, no, I know why. I know I'm born with it, but I also do have this name. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep moving. Next one up, California Milk Processor Board, 1993 slogan, got milk. Nike's just do it. This is one of the first like Clash of the Titans I see here in this episode. Man, I don't know what to make of this. I love the got milk slogan. Drank a lot of milk because of that, I'm sure. I don't think milk is a big thing anymore, but when we were kids, there was all this propaganda about you got to drink a ton of milk or you're never going to.
I did not know that this was the California Milk Board Association. Like this permeated everywhere. We lived in Idaho and we knew this one.
Classic example of the slogan became bigger than definitely the brand, but probably bigger than milk itself.
Right. Wow. That's milk itself is pretty big, man. It's in a lot of stuff. Where do you lean on this? I'm pretty sixes actually.
Man, I think
got milk is a little bit better seller, I guess. Like
I was gonna say, we might have to talk this out a little bit, but my gut reaction is leaning towards got milk. I love a good short, punchy thing, and you can get it done. I mean, just do it as 3 words.
Yeah.
2 words and a question mark.
What has more letters? Don't they have the same number? No, just has 4 letters. Okay.
So I referenced it earlier. You're not a huge fan of wordplay. You do like it. Maybe I like it a little more. But I don't think you're super hot on wordplay. I am not super hot when people overuse like exclamation points, or I'm a big fan of like question marks or ellipses. Yeah. I think using clever punctuation can get you a long way. I like that it's a question. It didn't need to be a question. Probably they were wondering when they were shooting that around in the boardroom. They were wondering like, is this question mark really necessary? Couldn't we just go milk period? Like almost the same thing. But got milk. Clearly the people have spoken.
Got milk?
They bought into
it. I'm Ron Burgundy. Got milk?
No, we're not supposed to really factor in like the imagery that goes along with it from like a billboard or whatever, but the milk mustache became iconic. You needed to win a World Series or something to be able to get yourself on a billboard with a milk mustache for a while there. I'm taking that out. I just wanted to reference it because it matters. But got milk blew up. I think it did it for a reason. I think I'm prepared to unseat Nike.
I think with these ones that are like so abstract, they're not like selling ones, like you kind of just have to go with your gut. My gut says the same thing. So got milk.
Right. I do think this could work in direct response too, by the way. It's just weird about trying to sell milk.
Well, you couldn't use that. Like you can't rip. Like it's funny. Some of these you could rip, but got milk is so iconic that you couldn't be like, hey, got wallet. Like, you know what I mean?
Selling some kind of commodity, but it's like for your specific brand. I guess the risk you run is that like people could go buy wallet or whatever from a different brand. You're not speaking about your brand.
Well, yeah. Or like, even if you did, like, let's say on it was like got on it, like you would, which is kind of a funny one.
That'd be like got supplements.
But you'd be like, oh, you guys just ripped the milk thing, you know, like even if you put your brand in there, it'd feel like disingenuous, you know.
It's true, but
it's not rippable, you know.
To be fair to Nike, Just Do It would work just as good for On It, but they'd be like, you clearly ripped off Nike. You didn't even change.
Yeah. It just you can't even change anything in the Just Do It one. But we're going down a path here. So
I'm gonna stop the conversation there because anyway, I was going somewhere else with that. So moving on now. Got Milk, new hot seat holder from 1993 from California Milk Processor Board. Now going up against the new contender from 1994, Microsoft Slogan. Where do you want to go today?
What does that have to do with Microsoft? Laptops? Was this laptops? Is that what that was?
I don't see anything about that. I think it's more about like the internet.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't see anything about that. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Milk. Next.
Milk.
Next. Got milk. Next. Yeah.
It's strong. All right. Yeah. Get out of here.
Snap judgment. We don't even have to talk about that one. Let's go.
This is another, I think I would love to do another one of these kinds of styles of episodes, but I'm sensing we might need a little more like diversity on our judging panel here because we're about to hit another like female like forward one and fair like I think I'm gonna go ahead and say it ahead before we publish this. I think we kind of butchered the criticisms of the maybe it's Maybelline because I don't know how to feel about that. Right. About it anyway. So, but here we got another one. Wonderbra, 1994. Hello, boys. I assume that's how you're supposed to say it.
I kind of like that one.
I kind of like it too, but I'm having a hard time knowing how to quantify how much I like it because I'm like, it doesn't make me want to go buy a Wonderbra. Yeah,
not me, right? But I'm like, I get it. That's funny.
Yeah, I almost wish we did have our significant others here to be like, hey, honey, what do you think about this?
Hello, boys versus Got Milk. It's short. They're both short.
But this is our job as marketers. It's our job to make these tough decisions, even about brands we don't fall into the market of.
Okay, I'm gonna go with a objective thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm gonna go with an objective thing here. Too cryptic.
Too cryptic.
Yeah, like what is it? What does it mean? I got milk. I get it. I know what you're selling. Do you got milk? No? Okay, well, here's some. Like,
so you're casting your vote there for milk.
Yeah. I mean, like the Wonderbra one, I actually do kind of like it. I get what it's doing. It's funny. I kind of dig it, but too cryptic, right? So I'm gonna go to my direct response roots here and say like, got milk is a little bit stronger, like direct response play.
This is where I feel the need to reiterate what you already have a couple of times this episode, and I go, if I'm looking at an ad and this is an ad headline, I mean, obviously there's context of what the product is already. I think Hello Boys is maybe a stronger like headline in certain contexts. I think it is because I think it adds some of that humor like that we talked about from the last episode. Mm-hmm. Little pang of humor at least goes a long way for me subjectively. I don't fall in this market. It's hard for me to weigh that. So I got to default back to the milk. I think that's brilliant. I can't unsee Got Milk here, but I would love to get a woman's. If you're a woman or not, you just feel strongly about Wonderbras, drop a comment down below. Also like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of these excellent conversations we have about women's undergarments.
That may feel a lot like we're just mansplaining what's super awesome in advertising.
I know, it does. It feels like kind of a patriarchy conversation to be like, women's undergarments compared to like dairy products. Like, I'm like, oh, something there we're treading on. Let's move on. Yeah. Unstable ground we're walking on here. We're dancing on ice. Yeah. All right, next one up. We definitely, or at least I can definitely weigh in on this one. Curious what you think about it. 1996 from Guinness. Good things come to those who wait.
Man, okay. Did they make that up? They didn't make that up. That's like a proverb or something.
I don't know. How would we know that?
Okay, look, if they made that up, that's pretty dope.
Agreed.
But it's not a great ad slogan or headline or really anything.
I
don't really get what it has to do with Guinness.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I just read the blurb a little bit just because I'm like, it's not that long ago now in the scheme of things, but I mean, it is. It's like 25 years ago now. Dang. Whew, we're old, John. So it pertains to like how long it takes to pour it into a pint, because it's got the ball, which I think is, there's a reason that ball's in there. I think it's supposed to help the flow when you do pour it. So it takes longer to pour. Good things come to those who wait. I'm actually leaning towards, it sounds like maybe they did come up with that. Maybe it is a spin on a proverb, but the wording, I don't know. But yeah, not better than milk.
It's disconnected. It's not, yeah, like it's too disconnected. Like, again, we're sort of judging him, and maybe it's a little unfair for this era of where ads were very visual and less text based. But it's like, it has to go with the visual for me to get it. So
yeah,
because we're just judging the slogan, got milk. Yeah,
I'm with you. I will say this.
Yeah, and then if we are gonna pull in, like, if we judge them with the visuals, then I'm like, okay, then the nod really goes to got milk, because like the visuals there were way better. So.
Oh yeah, completely. But I do have to say this about Guinness. I like that they're trying to tie it into the experience that you have. But it's kind of the same thing with Nike that I liked about that. It's like, it's talking about the experience you have when you're wearing the shoes already, not about going to get the shoes. It's not trying to sell you on the shoes, it's selling you on the other thing. I'm like, that is what Guinness is doing here. It's like, you're gonna have a good time. It's a given you're drinking Guinness. So props to them for that.
Yep.
Moving on now, as a reminder, we still got Got Milk, California State Processor Board. I'm not looking at it, so I don't know when it was from exactly. But next up, going up against Got Milk, is Apple's 1997 slogan, "Think Different." First off, I will say this. Pretty sure that is grammatically incorrect. Pretty sure it's think differently, right? That's an adverb describing a thing. So they're saying like, think about the concept.
So it's different.
I don't like it. They must have been aware of that. It must have been on purpose, but I don't like it. Kind of snobby in my opinion.
Well, it's like think different, and we also spelled this in the wrong way or something like that, right? Or we mean a different thing by think differently. So it's like sort of this like, yeah, I get you. It's a little snobby, but I'm like, yeah, for the right person, maybe for at that time who would have been an Apple consumer, it's like, oh yeah, I dig that. It's like very meta.
Very
1984, the 1984 Apple ad, obviously much better, like the TV ad, but like, it kind of reminds me of the Volkswagen Think Small one. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember that one. Like, it needed the visual with it, you know, and the Think Different, I'm like okay, yeah, nah, I don't know.
For what it's worth, I prefer
I don't know what the product, what's the blurb say? What was the product for? Was it just their computers or what?
It was meant to advertise the brand as a whole rather than any of its specific products.
Yeah, then it doesn't do that good of a job.
No, yeah, I think we're on the same page on this. I always with these, I know we're trying to suss out what would be the best in like today's climate of e-commerce, but I'm thinking about them in the boardroom shooting around ideas, and it just feels like one of those where they're just too close to the trees to see the forest, and I'm like, nobody
drinking their own Kool-Aid. Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong. I could tell me how wrong I am in the comments. But yeah, I don't like it. I'm sticking with Got Milk. It's iconic. Think different. Doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, and look, I'm not saying I don't like Apple, right? So for all the Apple fanboys and girls out there, that's fine. I'm just saying this ad isn't as good as the Got Milk one.
I know we both have iPhones. Of course, that has nothing to do with it. We just think that their 1980 or 1997 slogan could have been a little better. You know, I think
was that during the non-Jobs years?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Have to look that up.
That would explain that.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Anyway,
but we're sticking with milk, right?
Yeah.
Census there. I believe you still have the possession arrow if it comes down to it. I love this next one, man. 1997 again. Just, busting out a few here in a row. I guess there's only two, but 97 marketing is on point here. This one you're gonna like, I think. Mastercard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's Mastercard. I'll say this: 2 sentences. That's you're shooting your shot with it, but I love it. I love what it's doing. It's got Mastercard in there. It's appealing to something bigger than what it even does. I love that it did that with Nike. I like it with there are certain themes that I like. It's talking about the things beyond what Mastercard can even do. I love it.
Well, like I mean, and all the visuals go with this, but without the visuals, I get what they're saying. It's like money buys experiences, and the experiences are priceless, right? And I think there's another one maybe coming up that uses the word priceless. I don't know. I haven't looked ahead, but anyway, yeah, no, I actually think MasterCard's better, and that brings me back to DR stuff where I'm more comfortable. So yeah, I do give the nod to MasterCard, strong enough to use the possession arrow on this one if you make me.
You want to give it to MasterCard, you said?
Yeah, where are you?
Oh, I do too. I'm in agreement. Okay. So no, you keep the possession arrow. I'm all about it, man. I love it. I know the imagery, like I think of those ads, the TV ads where it does say, golf T-shirt, $30, the golf clubs, $200.
Oh, that's where priceless came in. Yeah, like they would have priceless in the ads. That's right.
Right. But aside from all that imagery that we aren't really weighing into right now, it still stands alone. You don't need that imagery to understand the concept.
Exactly. That's what I love about it. So it's like a strong headline. It's a strong, yeah.
I've said it over and over again. I love a clean, short one. This is 2 full sentences, but they even though it's long, there's no wasted real estate in all those characters. It's packing a big punch, and it's a big, long punch. It's a strong one. This might be, I'm not going to say anything. Let's keep moving on. New hot seat holder. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's Mastercard. From Mastercard, 1987, going up against. So that was in direct, by the way, direct competition with Visa rolling out that is everywhere you want to be. Clearly, Mastercard.
97, right? 97.
Yeah, 1997.
Yeah. Mastercard definitely beats Visa.
So we're moving into a new millennia here, jumping 4 years ahead to 2001. Honda. I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't remember this. I don't know. Sorry to Honda if this is still your slogan. I don't know about it. The power of dreams, which is compelling. It's compelling, but I don't know what that means.
What does that have to do with a Honda? It has to go with the
visuals. Gets the people going.
Gets the people going. It has to go with the visuals, I'm sure.
Gotta be, but yeah.
And it seems like one of those things people say, good things come to those who wait. That's oh, here's a thing I say when I don't know what to say to somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm always interested in maybe some of these patterns, and it seems like the car ones are very nebulous and weirdo. I don't the car marketing is strange. The think small. I mean, with the image.
Why don't you just be probably the best sedan in the world?
Why wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't you do that? I mean, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway,
Power of Dreams. Sorry, you're out.
Mastercard beats it.
Moving along here. Mastercard still holding it down. Only got a few more to go. Wonder if it can be the champ of the day. We got a hot contender here, though, John.
Ooh boy.
In a year, 2003. There's a little company called McDonald's.
Yeah. Okay.
They came out with a slogan that year called "I'm Loving It."
Yep.
How do you feel about that, John?
I mean, I loved the jingle and everything with it, right? 2003, for context, that's we were old enough to be aware of the ads and what they're selling. And so it's and TV was still popular, right? So we saw these ads. I think the MasterCard ad is better. The MasterCard slogan is better. I'm loving it's a little bit just do it. Very iconic, very, very cool. That said, it's not as iconic as just do it, where it sort of permeated culture a little bit. I'm loving it. Nobody's saying that outside. Right. Yeah. So it's more of it. If we were doing jingles, then maybe I'd give the nod to that. But MasterCard I think is better slogan.
Yeah, I'll say this. It is so similar to Just Do It because I think both of those hit close to home for us, being the athletes with
Nostalgic. Yep.
And then McDonald's. I mean, this is 2003. I mean, I know for a fact these commercials were a part of the reason why we had. You and I were kind of late drivers. We had friends driving right at this time, kind of 2003, 04 period. We had plenty of people driving us to McDonald's, going through that drive-through. Getting ourselves some whatever's cheapest on the dollar menu at the time, but yeah,
making our friends pay for us because we didn't have any money.
Yeah, just because we bought because of it doesn't make it the best.
Yeah, not let's not do nostalgia, right? MasterCard's a better slogan. Yeah.
Yeah. So a tip of the cap, McDonald's. Yeah. Thank you for that. Awesome. And I will say this: I like the apostrophe. I like that it's conversational. Cool. It's not. I'm loving it. Nobody would say that. At least not where we're from. Everybody would say I'm loving it, and it stood the test of time. So well done, golf clap for you. but you are dismissed. Go home, McDonald's. All right. So we have, there are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's Mastercard from 1997 going up now against GE, General Electric's 2003 slogan, Imagination at Work.
Man, I'm lukewarm.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the tech ones and the car ones are kind of weird. They're just try to do too much, I think. But it's a certain kind of
try to go after a big idea, and it's like, again, too cryptic. I've said it for other ones, like, let me stick with the theme, too cryptic. What is it?
They're trying to be so cutting edge, and yeah, I think there's just so much is lost by trying to do that. It probably serves better for me at the time, not so much for a direct response. I wouldn't recommend saying imagination at work in your ad copy or in your ad headlines.
This feels to me like the golden age of the award-winning ad agency that wins awards but doesn't necessarily sell product. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. So, yeah. I think there's it's like that. I think it's an idea called like the Keynesian a beauty contest, where it all becomes like you're just voting on little like subjective things within the group of judges almost.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a little weird to bring that up right now. But cool. Going forward, we're on number 40 now. I kind of lost track of like saying the numbers as we went.
Oh, this is the last one.
This is number 40. I will say this. I did look ahead, like I said, but I didn't notice this. They go past 40 also. Oh. There are 10
bonus ones,
10 extras. I don't know why they would call it. They clearly have 50, so I don't know why they did that. Those next ones are not in chronological, not in any particular order, I don't think. Maybe that's some bonus content. I don't know. I assume you don't want to hit it up. I don't know what we're at. I did not make note of when we started this. Okay. But you want to round this out at 40 like we planned to do?
Let's do this. Let's round it out at 40. Let's have the header, like the two winners go against each other, and then rapid fire the last 10 against the winner.
Ooh, I like it. Okay. All right. So number 40, we got 2004 Dove, Real Beauty.
Oh man, I feel like because this was targeted toward women.
You know where they're going here. This was kind of in like the movement.
Yeah, this was the early days of their like the Real Beauty movement, which I dig from Dove. Like as a whole campaign, super cool. Direct response, John is going to give the nod to Mastercard here, but I dig this whole campaign idea for sure.
I think again, it's without saying it, it's kind of like what the Gillette thing did, is trying to carve out a market. You're speaking to like the everyone. You're not speaking, you're speaking to any woman. The real beauty is just being the best version of yourself.
Props to them for backing it up too, like with their models and everything. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and still today, like through. Yeah. I mean, this was almost 20 years ago at this point. So
yeah, and it's like, I get the theme, right? Dove is simple, like. Still, yeah, I just can't get away from my like direct response head, and the Mastercard ad is just better. The slogan's just better. Where are you at?
Well,
I'm strong enough to use the possession arrow on that, so it doesn't matter. Mastercard wins.
No, we're in agreement here. It's consensus. Okay. We got our two.
Oh boy! All right, the battle of the champions. What is it?
We are too excited for this. I'll say this. Like, if you're watching this video still at this point, thank you for sticking this far ahead. John and I are just so competitive that this isn't even about marketing at this point. This is about like bracketology, and then we have two semi-finalists, or two finalists, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
They're duking it out. I just want to know who wins. I don't have a horse in this race. So, okay, just to recap.
You know what I love to? Yeah, go for it.
No, go ahead, John. I got to look.
Because recap and tell everybody what the two slogans are, and then I'll go into like what I like about it. Like what I like about where we landed. So
our winner from last week of the up through 1975 episode was Carlsberg's 1973 slogan. I think it matters for the context because, like we said, this is kind of a humorous one. How can it still be funny today if it was in 1973? That's almost 50 years. It's still funny today. Probably the best lager in the world. It might not even have been funny at the time, honestly, but it is funny now.
Like maybe they were just being realistic. Like, how would we know? I guess the best lager in the world, we can't say that. Like, we haven't tried all the lagers. We should just put probably. Yeah.
We've asked a lot of people. Based on our sample size, it probably just,
I seem to think it's the best.
Science
my dad likes it.
I like it. I appreciate either it's super honest or it's an attempt at humor. Either way, I respect it.
Yeah.
I like it. Probably the best lager in the world. Putting its dukes up against Mastercard. There it is. From 1997. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's Mastercard. This is battle of the century. Battle of multiple centuries.
Okay. Here's what I love about this. We landed on two like pretty strong rippable things for your business, right? Like you can rip them out. Like you can't really you could rip probably the best blank in the world because it's been so long. You can't rip the Mastercard thing directly because it might not apply to you, but like the idea of like your thing leading to something bigger, putting that up front and then, positioning your thing, like these are both really rippable. They're both very direct response. So that's what I love about this.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be creative. You can rip the Mastercard thing. You got to spin it, obviously change the wording a little bit so that people don't just think Mastercard because that's advertising for Mastercard at that point. But yeah, I mean, there's so many words and they said so much in the Mastercard slogan, but really the power is in what they didn't say.
Yeah.
Power is in what they left up to you to decide. For everything else, or for the things money can't buy, I mean, you're thinking about all the things you love the most in the world. They're triggering all those happy I love the psychology.
Yes. Yeah. And like how it's kind of crazy between you and I like longer copy stuff a little bit better, that we landed on this as a finalist with 2 full sentences. Like it's powerful. It's a good ad headline. It's a good, like, it's just a good, it is a very like headline driven type slogan. Probably the best lager in the world though. I mean, it would not be that good if it just said the best lager in the world. Like that, we would have moved on from that pretty quickly.
No, in fact, I think we had it go head to head with another one that basically did just say it's the best. The ultimate driving machine, BMW.
Right. Yeah. So it's like that one little word. Like I don't know if it just got us. So here's the thing. It's like if it doesn't hit your humor. So probably the best lager. Let me put it this way. There's a couple ways to look at this because I think we might go the same way on this one. But I think that like, if probably the best lager in the world doesn't hit your humor bone, you do like, that's not a strong headline for every person out there. You get what I'm saying?
Well, I think the floor is fairly high because even if it doesn't hit you in a humorous way, at the very least, they're declaring they're the best. If you think it's serious, they're like, well, it's the best.
Yeah, they say they're the best probably. Yeah, but like I think it hits our humor bone. So in this contest, it maybe made it further than it would have if it didn't hit somebody's humor bone. Okay, that's kind of what I'm saying here.
Sure.
So like the fact that it's even in the finals is because like Casey and I just were like, oh, this thing's funny, right? So here's where I stand on this. And really, I'm probably going to go wherever you go because here's where I stand on this. I think the MasterCard one is better. It's a better headline. It's more powerful. I like probably the best lager in the world better.
Man, everything you just said, I'm leaning with agreeing, and I still don't know what we do with that. But I will say this. I feel like this is the first one where I'm like, hold on, what's the scope of how we're looking at this again? Like the criteria for judging really matters here because it could go either way based on however we look at it. I will say this, like formulaically, like I hate the 2 sentences. Like I hate that in general, but I love the way they did it. It's wordy. It's even got a comma in there in one of the sentences. But it does say the name. I like that. There's pluses and minuses to both. How do we go about deciding this, John? What do we care about here? What do we want out of this episode? What do we want out of the champion here?
Right. Here's what I think. So the Mastercard slogan. Yeah, the Mastercard slogan. So this is where I stand on this because I actually thought you would go the other way. I think you'll lean the other way on this. Like the like probably the best lager in the world is like kind of more entertainment driven. It's funnier. It's like if this were like a lighter show, that would be like the educator in me, the person who like wants everybody's e-commerce businesses to crush it, who watches our show says like follow in Mastercard's footsteps here. Because probably the best whatever in the world, you can just straight rip that, try that, great, do it. But like the Mastercard, like the fact that it has all those things, it breaks like all your rules, but you still are like, this is very good. This is very powerful. Like this is more of like a teach you to fish type of advertising principle, right? Like, so I'm going to give the slight nod to Mastercard and say like, I think it like does a better job of being a thing that sells a product and sells it with a big idea that can also fit brands. So like if we're talking about like performance branding, which is all you know, direct to consumer e-commerce brands really want this. Like, how do we get this balance of like strong performance from our direct response marketing, but without being like spammy and, you know, and like, but still have a strong brand. Like this is it. Like this is a great example of it. So I'm going to give the slight nod to MasterCard here, but yeah, like I like the other one better, honestly.
It kills me to say this, but if I'm being honest, if I were scrolling through stuff, scrolling through a feed on whatever platform, and I saw, you know, we're looking at it in today's environment, which, you know, bravo to a 1973 slogan for somehow being a great, I think we can say a great headline for today's, you know, advertising ecosystem. If I were scrolling through, you know, that is something you would see. That is something brands are doing that right now. There's somewhere somebody has there's probably that out there somewhere, or some iteration of that, something that hits the same kind of taste bud, if you will, you know. But I don't think I could say the same thing about the MasterCard one. It does speak to such a bigger idea. I feel like we're being consistent here. I liked it when other brands did it too. I stuck up for it with Nike, stuck up for it with a couple other brands where I'm like, it's speaking to a bigger experience. You know, it's not even saying this is for those things you love the most in life, but it's making you think about it. It's brilliant. I got to go with you. This stands out as so different and still checks so many boxes. And somehow with the 2-sentence thing, it's weird, it's wonky for like a headline, but just in spite of that, this has to be our champion.
Wins, yeah, it wins in spite. Okay, cool. So we spent a long time tilting on the champion, rightfully so. I don't want to drag this episode out too long and go from 40 to 50. So here's what I think we should do. I think we should say, here's the end of this episode, all-time champion, because we said there was only going to be 40, is Mastercard's slogan. What was it again? Read it again. So
there are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's Mastercard.
Okay, so that is the crown champion as of now. Let's do this. Let's do a bonus video. We'll rapid fire through the last 10 and put that champion up against Mastercard, and maybe even up against probably the best logger in the world.
Yeah, maybe let's try to round out like a podium, like a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, yep.
And we can include these, like, let's rapid fire these last 10. I think we can feel strong about them.
Let's cut this episode here, and we'll do that on a different episode.
All right. Bye, everybody. Watch one of these other videos, and we'll come back at you with a little like bonus episode / part 3 of 2 somehow. I don't know.
Maybe a short episode. Maybe like a short episode, like a little bonus episode. You know, once it's up, we'll link it here somewhere.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, watch one of our other videos, and we will see you shortly in this next video we're doing right now.